Debt to income ratios are coming in second half of this year. How they're going to look, a little bit of my deep dive into the details. Opportunities, perhaps. Because if we look under the surface a little bit, the debt to income ratios are coming in along with an easing of the LVR restrictions, surprisingly. Now, the Reserve Bank has, by design, mentioned that debt to income ratios have to be below 6 for residential loans to owner occupiers and below 7 for investors. If you go out there and grab a calculator and say, right, I should be able to borrow 6 times my income right now, it's not going to work, because right now what we're lending out is actually below these thresholds already. So these are designed not to suppress the housing market, but to kind of take a big boom or peak off it. That's what they're kind of designed for. But at the same time that these are coming in place, the Reserve Bank is also easing LVR restrictions somewhat. How much? Well, if you have less than a 20% deposit, right now you're kind of in a quota system, and only 15% are allowed through with less than a 20% deposit, unless you fit into some other schemes now, or buy a new build. This is changing to 20%. So really, it's like a 25% increase in the number of traditional low deposit home buyers. That's going to happen. Investor loans, right now you need a 35% deposit to buy an investment property, a 35% of equity to buy an existing investment property. So that's going to change to 30%. So that deposit requirement is going to drop. Now, that's kind of interesting. Good news, I guess, in some sense, if you're just on the threshold. Some of the other interesting aspects of this, as with the LVR restrictions, the debt to income restrictions actually have exemptions. Now, the DTI restrictions will cover most residential. Nonetheless, there will be some exemptions similar to exemptions for LVR tool. The main exemptions will be for newly constructed dwellings, okay, and kāinga ora loans. So this includes building. Okay, so building an investment property, again, should mean that these debt to income ratios do not apply. How is this important? How is this actually important if what I'm telling you right now is that you can't borrow 6 times your income most of the time anyway? Why are these exemptions important? Because there will come a time when interest rates will be lower. And as interest rates drop, suddenly, you know, without debt to income ratios, you would have been able to borrow more. Suddenly with debt to income ratios, interest rates drop. If they do happen, you think, geez, I wouldn't mind another investment. If you got a bit of land, you could actually, you know, you could have 2 options. You could say, right, do I fit into the debt to income ratios? Oh gosh, I don't, but I'm building, so I'm okay. I'm exempt from LVR restrictions and debt to income ratio restrictions. Now, that is an important feature, because I'm guessing this would make certain types of property more desirable as time wears on, right? So yeah, maybe a little bit of an opportunity there. Some of my less favorite things about debt to income ratios is how it treats joint loans. So if you're buying with family, if you're helping, let's say mum and dad and kids are getting together, buying a home, kids then go out on their own and try and buy a home, that joint loan is counted towards your debt to income ratio 100%, which I think is a little bit mean, because especially certain cultures, joint borrowings is sometimes the only way for people to get on the ladder, and then this kind of holds you down a bit worse than it does at the moment, because some banks right now will let us kind of portion off percentages. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting, but again, I can see why, because you are jointly and severally liable for any joint loans anyway. So it means you can be hit up for 100% of the debt if push comes to shove. So yeah, so look, Hopefully that's kind of been interesting. Thank you for watching. Hamish Patel from mortgagesonline.co.nz.